anong advice mo sa kanila? People who have been overly thinking but underdoing.
You really have to act. Finding your why.
Yeah.
Diba? Yeah, we hear that all the time. Diba? For me, my more direct question would be, what do you want? What do you want? And if you don't know what you want, then find out.
Yes.
And you're not gonna find that out na nasa bahay ka lang na nag-iisip ka lang or sa soul search ka lang, nagpa-travel ka lang because you're thinking about finding yourself. It doesn't happen that way. I think the best way to find out what you want is to immerse yourself in an environment where you might actually find what it is that you want to do.
Welcome to the $1 Million Filipino Freelancer Podcast. This is Neil Reichl, and in this episode, hindi maglalago tukan mga buto natin, kundi yung mga mindset beliefs natin. Mga purita, get ready. Okay? Marami tayong matututunan. Ang guest natin, aabutin tayo ng 16 years dito sa babasahin ko. Pero eto na, diretso na. She's a certified Bikram yoga instructor. She's also a certified Vinyasa instructor. Hindi tayo matututo ngayon ng yoga. Iba ang pag-aaralan natin. She's also the, nasa na yun, head instructor and partner of Vida Yoga. The one and only, ang nagsabi, you did not wake up today
to be mediocre.
To become mediocre. Miss Ginger Diaz Serrano.
Hi, Bashers.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Sabunutan na.
Yeah, sabunutan na.
Okay. Kwento lang. The first time that we met Ginger was not through Vida Yoga. We were looking for help with our bellies. Shout out. Honey, dapat nandito ka eh. Interviewin natin to si Ginger eh. And then, sabi ko, oh my gosh. Mukhang mahal to. Mukhang expensive. Nasa Ayala Alabang tayo. Tas English. Tas sa Starbucks pa yung meeting. Question ko, a lot of people, especially yung audience natin, freelancers, are so scared of charging what they're worth. Ikaw, can I use the word? Nonchalantly. No. Hindi ko mabasabi lang eh. No? Walang kaabog-abog. Sinabi mo yung rates mo. Were you that confident to begin with when you started this?
I will have to say yes, because when you and I met, that was last year, right?
Yes.
A lot of things have changed since we first met in terms of the business side of my life. But at the time that I met Neil and Alpha, you guys, I was a certified housewife, enjoying my time at home. I was using my time to have like my private classes with clients because at that point, all of the yoga studios were shut down and things were starting to open up again. Pero I really enjoyed being domestic at the time. Of course, I still needed to move and I really enjoy teaching and I miss the yoga and the fitness. And so I had a handful of clients that I was teaching with private classes.
Okay.
At that point, I would say yes, of course, I was confident already because I had been in the business since 2007.
Wow.
But to answer your question, when I started in 2007, no, I was not confident. It took me maybe a year and a half to really gain confidence because I think it's just part of the journey. And if I didn't go through that point in my life where, I had a lot of self-doubts, I was overthinking a lot. Can I do this? Can I pull this off? Syempre, parang hindi ako talaga masyadong confident. It took some experience. It took a lot of hours teaching and practicing, of course, for me to be the way I am now.
Shout out sa mga overthinkers po natin dyan. Sana sumabog po yung isip nyo dyan. Pero 2007, the first client, how far is the rate that you have now with the rate that you have for that first client, 2007?
No, actually, I remember having my private classes in the studio where I used to work because I went to my teacher training in Hawaii, right?
Okay.
And then I was teaching I felt like it was one of the best studios for me to really learn. It was a studio called Bikram Yoga Green Hills.
Okay.
And I was teaching my regular classes there. I also learned there. I was mentored a lot there. I practiced a lot there. And I was part of this really supportive community that up to now, I'm still friends with them. they have withstood the test of time, I would say. Ganun ka-supportive and ka-bonded ng community namin. Hanggang ngayon, nagkikita-kita pa rin kami. But anyway, once in a while, we would have requests for private classes.
Mhm.
And normally what happens is the student will ask for a certain teacher.
Yes.
And it happened to be me. I also had like a talk with the studio owner at the time. And because it was done in the studio, I would say my rates at the time were similar. Simply because it was in the studio. We were making use of the heaters and all of the studio facilities. My students would also get to shower in the studio after. So at the time, yes, for a studio rate, yun na yung price point ko. The difference though with what we were doing last year is, and with my students before na nag-aano na ako private class na parang freelancing.
Yes.
The difference is I didn't have a studio at the time
Yes.
where I could hold these classes.
Mhm.
So I had to factor in like my own rate based on my experience as a teacher, my credentials as well. And that was a price that I felt was fair based on, like my credentials. And also time for me is very important. Like I have 2 kids now. I like spending time with my family and doing a lot of things for them. So for me, the hour that I spend being away from my family and the things that I like to do should be worth the price that I would command.
Okay.
So basically, yun. Parang inisip ko yung okay, what are my credentials, my experience as a teacher and a practitioner, my expertise, if you
Yes.
will, my specialization, all of these things, parang yun. And that's how I felt like, okay, if I charge my clients this price, I think that's worth the hour that I
Okay.
will be spending with them.
The reason why I was asking this is because a lot of our listeners are so scared nga of charging what their worth is. Kasi it's like looking into dark cabinet na hindi mo alam kung anong laman. Ano ba yung worth ko talaga?
Yeah.
So, yun nga, how do you define your worth? With you had credentials, you had the expertise, you also knew what you wanted and did not want. So that was very clear. Yung the time that you
Yeah.
have. Question is, were there clients who approached you and then when you told them etong rates mo for your private class, they were like, oh my gosh, ang mahal naman nito. Or hindi na sila nagpakita muna.
Yeah, definitely. I had a couple of people inquiring. And again, you have to understand this was happening at the time of the pandemic
Yes.
where none of the studios were open and people were really looking into holding private classes in their homes or a different location. So I would have some people inquiring because I would have to say, for the price that I command, I make sure that I really take care of my clients.
Yes.
And so my clients, even if they're just a handful, because I'm also picky, they're happy with my service, what I provide for them. And so they would refer me. Yeah, I would come across people na will directly ask how much my rate would be and I would tell them and no response after crickets, ganyan.
Ano feeling?
For me, it's okay because that only means these people are not my market.
Were you ever like thinking na, teka, having second thoughts na baka it's too much, I should follow up and say, magkano ba yung gusto mo? Sige, adjust ako para sa'yo.
No. Sorry, I never did
Ganda nung
that.
sagot.
Yeah.
Pero it's tough. It's tough, especially when the bills are there, especially when you have these certain needs or you have people depending on you. It's so easy to give in as long as the cash starts coming in. Pero looking at it down the road, 'di ba, na parang hindi, mas tama nga talaga ng ano. Ito yung ngayon ang next question ko, Ginger. A lot of freelancers are solopreneurs technically. And in your case, tama, you were freelancing. You started out working for a yoga studio, tama ba? That's the term? Or
Yeah.
for a studio?
Yeah, I was working first for a yoga studio. That's where I was mentored. And then eventually, I would say I stayed there for almost 3 years until I felt I was ready to start my own business,
Studio, yes.
my own studio.
When you were already teaching before, there was already the discovery of the passion for it, diba?
Yeah.
However, when you mix business with passion, something happens. Nagkakaroon ng ignition. Ang
Yes.
daming nasusunog na feelings. Tsaka pera. Did that happen to you?
What do you mean exactly?
Okay. Wherein, going to the studio feels more like a burden versus dati na you found so much joy teaching. Ngayon, you have to deal with so many administrative work. Okay, check natin yung list. Okay, how many students or clients are we getting in? So, sometimes, Or for freelancers naman, they have the love for writing.
Yeah.
But now they're getting paid for it, nawawala yung love for
Becomes a
writing. It
chore.
becomes a chore.
So before kasi when I started, I was really teaching. I
Mm.
was just teaching. I actually did some managerial work for the studio owner who's become one of my best friends now. I would do that for him, especially there was some time that he would be in the US and I would have to just make sure everything was on point in the studio. So I had that experience, but it wasn't a long enough stint. When I had my own yoga studio already here in Alabang, yeah, that's when it became a chore.
Okay.
And especially at the start, because at the start, you have to establish your presence in the studio. You're the face of the studio. So you're teaching a lot.
Yes.
And then you also have to manage the staff.
Yes.
And you also have to manage your teachers.
Yes.
And people management, I think, is one of the hardest managerial positions, if you
Yes.
will, having to manage people. So, yes, yeah, there were times that it really felt like a chore.
How do you overcome it?
I think at first you really just have to feel that, it's part of it. It's part
Yes.
of the journey, right? So in my case, I overcame it by really zeroing in on why I'm here. And it takes time. Minsan, parang nawawalan ka ng gana because,
Totoo.
the bills pile up.
Oh, yes.
Operating expenses, they're quite
Hindi
high.
joke ang
Yes.
mag-OPEX ng isang studio.
Exactly. The rent is high. The electricity is high.
Oo.
The sweldo also. But you really just have to, I think, take a step back and you kind of have to go back to the beginning. Ba't ko ba ito ginawa? And that was a real question, ha? Na paminsan hopeless yung tono. Yung,
Oo.
ba't ko ba ito ginawa? Yung ganon. Hindi yung, ba't ko ba ito ginawa? Hindi. It's really like very,
Bakit ko ba ito ginawa?
but what was I thinking? Yung
Oo.
parang ganyan. And for me, honestly, like I found the answer just going back from the very beginning. Why did I start teaching? Why did I go to teacher training? For me, I realized in the past couple of years, I really have a passion for teaching.
Mhm.
And it's something that I kind of forgot about in the past couple of years because I was so immersed in the business side
Yes.
of running the studio. And also because the bread and butter of a yoga studio or a fitness establishment will be the teachers or the instructors. And me as a business owner, I felt at the time that my role was to take a step back from teaching
Mhm.
and to highlight my teachers.
Okay.
Yon. So parang that's what I was doing.
Yes.
I would highlight my other talents and at the same time I would take a step back from the limelight, if
Mm-mm.
you will, so that I could do the back end,
Yes.
stuff. But of course, I was still very present in the studio because it's a very tiring job. It's very physical because I think that as a studio owner or as a teacher, your credibility also comes with people seeing you practice. It's very physical kasi you're practicing with the students. If you have like a gimmick, like let's say before I was so big on yoga challenges, I would have to do it as well. Everything else takes a back seat in my life. And yeah, 30 days of just devoting yourself to practicing. It's a fun atmosphere, but it's very exhausting. But I would never hold a challenge wherein I wouldn't be a part of it because it's just part of credibility. To go back to your question, that's how I found my passion again was I realized, why did I do this? Why am I here? Teacher pala talaga ako. And I've forgotten that. Na kaya ko pala to ginawa was because of my passion for teaching. It really makes me happy seeing my clients or my students grow, not just in their fitness level, but just as a person as well. That's why it's so special, I feel, to be part of a supportive, in this case, yoga or fitness community. Kasi
Yes.
I mentioned earlier that some of my students before are now my ninong or ninang in my wedding. They're such a big part of my family na. One of them is even my sister's ninang in her wedding. So, can you imagine being friends at the time when I was in my late 20s? I had friends who were in their 50s. To have a 50-year-old friend that
Oo.
you will call every day, that you will bother every day about things that are, like what could they have been thinking na tawag-tawagan ko sila about my own little concerns. And
Oo.
I genuinely felt the friendship. So that's what I mean by seeing their growth. not just in their fitness level or what they can do, their strength, their flexibility, but also how well-rounded they seem to become in their lives. I had a student before na hindi nakikipag-usap because she's really antisocial. And so I knew it was a big thing when she started staying after classes to
Yes.
talk to people. That
Galing na,
that
no?
makes me happy.
Oo.
Yun yung when I say teaching is not just, imparting my expertise or my knowledge, but it's really about seeing people grow in a well-rounded way.
Parang
Yun.
the passion is fueled further when you see the transformation.
Yeah, yes. I mean, we've had students here na they fell in love here and then they got married. Now they have kids. Yung ganyan,
Oo.
seeing that kind of thing is special. You become a part of their lives. And yeah, I mean, you can't say that every day.
True.
Yeah.
Oo. Ito lang ang challenge when it comes to passion, di ba? Is that kids nowadays, mga Gen Z, makinig kayo dyan. They want to start off muna with the things that they're passionate about. And then if you ask them, what are you passionate? They have no clue at all.
Yeah.
But they don't take action.
Yeah.
They don't do anything. Hindi naman lang Gen Z, okay? May mga
Yeah.
millennials din dyan.
Kahit kabatch natin.
Mga kabatch natin dyan. Anong advice mo sa kanila? People who have been overly thinking but underdoing.
Yeah. You really have to act. Finding your why.
Yeah.
Diba? Yeah, we hear
Simon
that all the
Sinek na.
time. Diba? We hear that all the time now. For me, my more direct question would be, what do you want? What do you want? And if you don't know what you want, then find out.
Yes.
And you're not gonna find that out na nasa bahay ka lang na nag-iisip ka lang or sa soul search ka lang,
True.
nagpa-travel ka lang because you're thinking about finding yourself. It doesn't happen that way. I think the best way to find out what you want is to immerse yourself in an environment where you might actually find what it is that you want to do. Not to make fun of the soul searchers, because I feel like I was under that category for a long time.
We all have been part of that category,
Yeah.
At one stage in our lives.
Yes,
Oo.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like all of my siblings kasi they're overachievers, they're like academically talaga exemplary, and I was the pabanjing-banjing one
Relax
because
lang. Oo.
yeah, in the words of my father, hindi ako mahilig mag-aral. It really was hard for me to be in a corporate setting.
Yes.
I did that, I remember, for my practicum, and quickly I realized, okay, this is not for me. But I immersed myself
You
in
tried
that.
it.
Yeah, I
Oo.
tried it. Okay,
Oo.
this is not for me.
Oo.
In fact, after I graduated, I still tried to be in a corporate setting, a book distributor.
Okay.
Parang ganyan.
Okay.
Because I'm into reading.
Okay.
So I thought, okay,
Testing
maybe I
natin.
will find it here.
Mm.
Because I like reading. There are a lot of titles here that I'm a fan of. Yung ganyan. A lot of authors here I'm familiar with. But yeah, I quickly realized that also this is not for me. I don't think I can last another year here, or pero
Yung sobrang chore na talaga, ayoko na talaga
yeah,
pumunta dito.
yung parang iyak ka na lang.
Oo.
Dito for me yung
Kahit
ganyan.
nag-reflect ka pa, finding your why.
Yeah,
Nawala yung why.
Wala. And I was actually a preschool teacher for a long time.
How long?
4 years?
Oh,
4 or
hindi
5
ba yun na yung
years?
passion mo nun?
In a way, it led me to where I am because I did enjoy teaching, but how I was looking at it was it didn't ignite me in the way that yoga did.
Mala inferno, yoga.
It didn't. Wala eh. Parang I knew I was good at it. I definitely enjoyed doing it. Nagtagal nga ako eh, 'di ba? I like seeing my students grow, and my students were preschoolers talaga. Yung talagang sometimes they're not even 3. Yung ganyan. But I really enjoy that. And for a while nga iniisip ko, is this my path? Do I just put up a preschool and alam mo yon, ito na ba yon for me? But it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right.
Well, I think the keyword talaga dito is trying it out.
Yeah.
I remember, speaking of trying it out, there were a couple of sessions that we were doing. And then my mind was telling me, hindi mo na kaya. Tama na. Hindi ko alam kung it was burpees.
Yeah.
And then sabi mo, no thinking.
Yeah.
Sige lang, gawin mo lang.
Yeah.
And I said, hindi ko na talaga kaya. And then you said, stop thinking, no more thinking, just do it. And then I did it.
Yeah.
I tried it out. And lo and behold, nagawa ko nga. Natapos
Buhay
ko.
ka naman
Buhay
ngayon, di
naman
ba?
ako. Pumasa ako ng medical.
Yeah.
Do you think people are doing too much thinking nowadays?
I think so. Everything has to be a balance, right?
Mm-mm.
And yeah, I think that something needs to change if you're thinking too much and not acting enough. Everything is a balance naman, diba? A good
pero they're
food, not so good
feeling,
food, everything.
Baka pumalpak ako. I might fail. I might not be good at it.
And you will. Remember earlier you were
Okay.
asking me about confidence and was I this confident from before? I go through phases. I was a yoga instructor. I was a Bikram yoga instructor for a long time already. So yes, definitely like I am very confident in that field. But also I did another training. I also took up a vinyasa training a couple of years back in Hong Kong, and it was completely new to me. People think that, oh, it's yoga is yoga. But no, actually, it's different. There are different styles. And the one that I took was very different from what I was used to. And it took a while for me to be confident. I did a lot of practice classes.
When you say practice classes, do they pay?
No.
Libre.
Yeah. Hey, guys, can you take my class? So, just so I can practice.
Did you parang like feel na any hesitation na they would say na, ano ba yan? Practice na lang tayo ni Ginger?
No, because the ones naman who would go to your practice class are the ones who actually want to experience
Okay.
it. So, you get a free class and I get to practice my craft.
Do you like message them or call them one at a time and say, or do you just post, oh, I'm doing it free?
Yes, I would do all of those.
Okay.
I would, hey guys, I'm doing this. Are you free? Just come.
Were you not scared of getting declined?
No, because even if I just had one person there, that's still good enough for me to practice.
Galing, no?
Yeah, and Neil, I was already a studio owner for 5 years by then.
Mm-mm.
But I was still not confident in terms of teaching something that I had just learned.
Mm-mm.
In my Inferno Hot Pilates training that was in, I'm not sure, 2020 or 2021, I didn't know if I could teach it. I mean, now I love teaching it. It's
Yes.
my favorite thing to teach. But at that time, I remember I was taking the teacher training and I was really thinking, my gosh, this is so different from yoga. I can't imagine myself being commanding in that sense. I was really thinking all of these things. Like, can I pull this off?
Oo.
Is this even me? Parang it's so not my personality.
Sobrang imposter syndrome talaga na parang kaya ko ba to?
I was really, I had a lot of doubts, but it's just really beneficial for you to, at some point, stop thinking and just do it. Just immerse yourself in it. Like what can happen? Like you're gonna be silent for, I don't know, 5 seconds because hindi mo alam kung ano yung sabihin mo. But you also have to trust that, pinag-aralan mo naman to eh.
Mm-mm.
It's not like you just got up in the morning and said, I'm going to teach this. Hindi
Yes.
naman ganon. You put in the work, you put in the hours. And so I think kailangan mo rin talaga to pull it out of you. Just the trust that I know this.
Yes.
Pinag-aralan ko to, kaya ko to.
Confidence comes talaga from experiencing it,
Yes.
applying it
Yeah.
over and over. Kasama yung failures.
Yes. I mean, like I've had failures and now you just laugh.
Yes.
'Di ba? Nakakatawa. I mean, what happened? Hindi naman ako binato ng sapatos.
Yoga
You know
mat
what
niya.
you know what I'm saying? When you met me, I was already this confident person.
Yes.
But when I had started out in 2007, let's say the class is 90 minutes, I would teach it for 2 hours. So everyone was just dreading it. Pag ako yung magtuturo, they would call the studio and ask who's teaching. And if it's me, they won't come.
Why
So-
did you extend that much?
Huh?
Kasi you wanted talaga na pulidong-pulido and
Yeah,
pa-practice ka pa?
Yeah, because I was also, my studio owner, my boss, was like, yeah, you can do it. Go do it na. Yun rin.
Oo.
He had to push me to do it na. Because if I waited for myself, hindi ko na matandaan yung mga kailangan ko ituro, hindi ko pa rin ginawa.
Yes.
So it's really beneficial also to have someone who will just push you and say, just do it. Kung hindi mo kaya gawin yun sa sarili
This
mo.
was the studio owner
Yeah,
before.
it was my boss.
Okay. May
Yeah.
question ako. You had a boss.
Yeah.
No? And then trained you, and then you learned a lot, and you also invested in yourself, and then you built your own studio.
Yeah.
Sobrang ano to sa culture natin, utang na loob. Did you feel like you were like betraying the owner and building your own studio?
No, we have such a good relationship and it's have because up to now, he's one of my best friends. I'll tell you how our relationship started. He was not from here, he was from the US, but
Okay.
he was teaching. He had the plan to put up a yoga studio already. I was planning to go to teacher training. This was way back in 2006 or
Okay.
2005. I was a practitioner and mahal mag-teacher training. And also at the time, yoga is such an abstract concept for people, especially for my parents. To say that
Ito,
gusto ko maging yoga instructor,
anak, may pera ba dyan?
exactly. And also, like, I was really thinking, where am I gonna find the money to put myself through teacher training? It's not just the tuition. It was also the living in Hawaii. It was
Yes.
also the airfare and my everyday expenses there. So it's a lot of money.
Risk talaga siya.
Yeah,
Oo.
and I was a preschool teacher. I did not have money. So I met him. He became my teacher. You get to talk and then I found out that he was putting up a yoga studio. He found out that I wanted to go to teacher training and so what happened was he gave me a half scholarship
Wow.
and then I would teach in his studio when I graduated. So that was such a blessing for me
Yes.
because I felt like, okay, parang it was easier for my dad to understand. It was just easier kasi, okay, someone is willing to invest in my daughter.
Yes.
Baka pwede na rin ako mag-invest sa kanya. It had to happen that way for me because I did not have that money on my own.
Mm-mm.
I would say, I guess for some people, they would say it's a stroke of luck. But I really felt like I wanted it so much. I believe that I would do it even if I didn't know how. And parang the universe really paved the way for me.
Kasi gusto mo talaga.
It was so magical. Parang, that's a very contemporary concept as
Yes.
well, right? The universe, like listening to you. But I really felt at the time it was a perfect example because I was putting in the work. I really wanted it so bad. I had all of these dreams and even daydreams of how my life was gonna be once.
Literal daydreams, ha?
Yeah, like I really
I-envision mo talaga.
Yeah,
Oo.
I was really envisioning this. And ngayon ko na lang naiintindihan kung ano yung ginagawa ko noon.
Visualization na pala yun.
Yeah.
Oo.
But at the time, I didn't know. It was just visualization na talaga yung ginagawa ko noon. Wala lang pangalan. For me, it was just daydreaming.
Oo.
But I wanted it so much that it just happened. What a coincidence, right?
Yes.
And what a stroke of good luck. Yeah, it was really the universe telling me that, okay, ito na. Galingan mo ah.
Ayusin mo.
Yeah, galingan mo. Everything that I wanted was so defined.
Mm-mm.
The minute I started taking that yoga class, all of a sudden I knew this is what I want. And I've never felt that before.
Yung
I-
certainty na yun, ano?
Yeah, never. And it was so certain. It was so defined. It was really a vision of where I wanted to be in my life, the path that I wanted to take. Parang all of a sudden, I knew if I'm going to be teaching anyway, this is what I want to teach because it changed me so much.
Mm-mm.
So parang I wanted to be able to do that for other people. I knew I wanted to go to teacher training. I knew I wanted to have a yoga studio in Alabang. It was very clear. I wanted Alabang.
At nangyari.
Yes.
How did you pitch the idea to the owner, to the boss? Now, I'm setting up my own studio. He knew na
He knew
talaga.
from the very beginning.
Kasi yung umpisa pa lang, that's why he
Yes.
even gave you the half scholarship.
Yeah. Oh, well, he didn't know at that time.
Okay.
But, like we would talk.
Mm-mm.
He was really a
Supportive
good
also.
mentor for
Oo.
me. What's your plan? And he knew all about my plan. So yeah, I would say, syempre yung memory ko now is a little bit hazy, but I would say that throughout my teaching career in his studio, he knew that I was gonna put up a studio in Alabang. In fact, he was helping me.
Galing, no?
Yeah.
Ito yung dahilan, ito yung reason for asking. Kasi a lot of ambitions, I think, are not fulfilled because it's us, the person who has that ambition, who kills it right away because of the idea of utang na loob. Nala, baka sabihin niya, after everything, ito yung ibabalik ko sa kanya. Diba? Ayun pala, these people who have mentored us are so happy pala to see us grow.
They are. And that's what I want to share with you because I had this conversation with him when I had the studio already. He said, that out of all his investments, I was the best one.
Wow. Sarap naman ang feeling na yun.
Yeah, I mean it's very heartwarming for someone to just say that to you.
Yes.
And I think going back to utang na loob should not limit you. In fact, it should propel you forward. You pay that not by holding yourself back. You pay that by showing the person na may utang na loob ka na, magaling ako. You know, you're right. You were right in trusting me. You were right in investing in me. You were right in believing in me. Yun. That's the best way to pay utang na loob. You show not just this person, you show yourself, you show the people around you that you are a good investment. You're worth it.
Oo. Ang galing na yung the way that you can show your appreciation is by growing more pa.
Yes.
Evolving beyond pa what they even thought you're capable of pa.
Yeah.
Okay, balik tayo. Fitness. Ang hirap maging consistent, Ginger.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, shout out sa mga nasa fitness world. Ang dami dyan, chubby-chubby naman. Ang lakas magturo. Pero kami naman ni Alpha, when we are doing the workouts, and we see you doing the workouts as intensive and even more intensive pa than us, parang nahihiya tuloy kami not to do the workouts. Hindi ka ba tinatamad? Or do you come at a stage in your life na, ayoko na mag-workout, pagod na ako?
I think it comes and it goes. Sometimes tinatamad ka. Definitely when I'm on vacation, I don't want to work out. I don't want to work
How
out.
do you bounce back?
You're just there. You just don't think about it. You just go.
You do it again.
Yeah.
Just do it.
You just do it again.
Hindi ka naniniwala, teka lang, I'll set the mood.
No, I just go.
Wala ako sa kondisyon.
No, it's never gonna happen. You will never be conditioned.
Aray.
Okay, that is a fact. The stars will never align.
Maulan eh.
Yeah.
Kahit na maulan.
Yeah, because, well, okay. I think for me, it's different because this is my profession.
Yes.
Because I also got big. You know this. I mean, I'm a mother of two.
Okay.
When I gave birth the second time, shortly after, it was pandemic. All of the studios were closed. In fact, this is the reason why somewhere down the line, I met you guys.
Yes,
Diba? It's because I didn't have a studio and, you know, like I was doing freelancing
Yes.
stuff, you know, to complement also like the lifestyle that I had at the time. It comes and it goes. For me kasi, I had C-sections for both my pregnancies. Hindi ako pwede mag-workout for 6 months eh.
Okay. Lusot.
Yeah. So parang okay, I can't work out. Okay. Tapos nag-pandemic. Syempre, ube, cheese, pandesal, every other day, lahat na. You know, hindi ka na nga pwede mag-workout. Everything is delivered pa. You can't even go out,
Yes,
diba? You
oo.
can, the first year, like, can't even walk outside. Parang
Mga 6 months
ganon.
lang.
6
Pinupuslit ko
months.
si Maddie sa labas.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yes, oo.
But all of that compounded for me became the perfect storm na, wow, wala nang kasyang damit sa akin.
Ay, alarming yun.
Yeah, yung parang iba na yung itsura ko. Parang for me like, oh, who is this? And it was just parang okay lang. Okay, pwede na ulit mag-workout. Workout na ulit. Okay, tapos na yung 6 months. Sige, workout na ulit. But syempre, your fitness level decreases
Oo
dahil
naman.
ang tagal mong walang
There's the
ginagawa.
age, there's the gap.
Yes.
Diba? Okay.
And I have to say that it was hard to get back in shape. It was hard. Well, first of all, my usual like yoga studio routine, wala. I didn't like working out at home. I was one of those na ayoko ng online,
Sino
ayoko
bang may
ng
gusto
ganyan.
mag-workout at home?
Yeah. As in, I didn't want to do all of those things, but it became clear to me that if I don't change my mindset, I will have to accept na masaya na pala ako na, I don't know, 30 pounds overweight. It's either I accept na this is it for me,
Yes.
or I change my lifestyle, I change my mindset. Actually, the lifestyle mas madali. It comes with changing the mindset. So I really had to change my mindset. Ayoko mag-workout at home. But do I have a choice right now?
No.
Wala masyado. So workout ka sa bahay. You know, ayoko ng online, but do I have a choice right now? I don't have anywhere to go. Then, okay, online. And I actually learned to like it. I learned to like it. I learned to work out on my own. I learned to like lifting weights, which I never did before.
But you
Never.
tried it out.
I tried it out before. I
Okay.
didn't like it. Kasi yoga nga ako eh, 'di
Oo.
ba? Hindi naman ako strength training.
Oo.
Pero parang, it also evolves eh. What you like evolves and you just have to try it out. The things that I do now, like the class that, you and Alpha
Mm.
would take, I never would have thought I would enjoy that. I never would have thought I would teach that. Pati ikaw mismo, nag-evolve na rin dun sa mga, just because you would try out different things. So, it's really a commitment, I would
Mhm.
say. Doon na naman tayo eh. So, what do you want? You want to be 30 pounds overweight or you want to be fit again?
Mm.
And I think for me it weighs heavily because I like to lead by example.
Mm.
And even if studios,
I
that's my
remember
main
that so
thing.
clearly.
That is my
Leading by
main
example.
thing. As a teacher, as a studio owner, that's my number one eh. I lead by example. And that is why I won't tell you to do something I won't do or I
Mm.
can't do. So I had to, dig deeper, think about that. And inisip ko talaga, wait lang kahit na sarado yung mga studios ngayon, and I still have a community that looks up to me, na umaasa pa rin na mag-open yung studios at some point. I'm still teaching. I was teaching online and I really had to think back to that. I need to lead by example again. So yeah, it was harder. Like the second time around was so much harder than my first birth. The second time it was harder. It took longer for me to lose weight. I already told you I had to enlist the support of a nutrition coach as well. But that's what it had to take for me to get back to where I wanted to be. It was so character building. Kasi hirap na hirap ako
Definitely.
eh.
Oo.
Hirap na hirap ako. And, like I also thought going through that grounded me even more. Kasi before, you just teach. Parang, you say the right things, the encouraging things. But really, what do I know about being overweight? Alam ko ba na mas nakakatamad pala pagka mabigat ka? Alam ko ba na mas mahirap pala kasi masakit yung tuhod mo or yung ankles mo? It gave me,
Insight siguro?
yeah,
Tama ba
parang
yung word?
I felt like I had more depth as a teacher simply because I wasn't just saying things. I was saying things because I went through these things as
From their
well.
side as well.
Yeah, it was such a great advantage for me to go through that. Kasi now my teaching, I have more empathy. I feel like I have more sincerity because you're not just pulling things out of your, can I say that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Explicit tayo.
Sorry. You're actually saying things based on what you went through.
Mhm.
That whole thing, it weighs heavily on me. Number one, going back to your question, that I always lead by example. And I am part of the fitness industry. And how can I inspire my community or my students if I accept na mahirap, ito na lang ako ngayon? As a teacher, this is what I believe, Neil, that my main job as a teacher is to inspire.
That's true. And from inspiration is action.
Yes.
Paminsan, pwede na rin, pero minsan lang yun, yung wala nang inspiration, wala nang thinking, basta action. Yun yung mahalaga.
Yeah. Sometimes you really just have to,
Do it!
as in get yourself out there and just do it.
And speaking of getting yourself out there, for people who are interested, halimbawa, let's talk about you as a business owner. Vida Yoga, I'll be the first one to tell you, it can be a bit intimidating. Mukhang mahal.
Yeah.
Sobrang mahal. Parang ganun na. That's why ang tendency, ang thinking is, you don't even tend to inquire.
Yeah.
You don't even know. Pag tinanong mo sila, bakit mahal? Magkano ba? Hindi ko na-check eh. Basta mukha lang mahal. Social
Yeah.
siya. Pero when we checked out, uy, okay naman pala.
Okay naman
Oh,
pala.
reasonable talaga siya.
Yeah.
And it gave us a deeper feeling, which is, we're spending on ourselves.
Yes.
Which is health naman.
Yes.
Fitness.
Yeah.
There's the tangible feeling. I'll call it tangible. Pinagpawisan ka.
Yeah.
Napagod ka. Pero meron din siyang intangible. Yung ego ba? Parang, uy, I'm investing naman in myself.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Yes.
Do you agree talaga? Or haka-haka ko lang itong mga
No.
experience ko to?
I feel like people need to ask, okay, let's say your example, mukhang mahal.
Mm-mm.
Okay, for some people afford.
Yes.
For some people medyo mahal.
Yes.
And for some people, they have that money, but they want to spend it on, I don't know, the new sneakers or
Yes.
their travel plans. And that's okay. That's okay. Kanya-kanyang
Oo.
trip yan. But my question for you is, how much is your life worth? And health is wealth. I mean, it's so gasgas na gasgas, but health is really wealth. That's the real wealth. And so you have to ask yourself, ano ba? sneakers or 1 month of me investing in myself and
Mm.
lengthening my life. Yun.
Minsan it's not a question of the sneakers anymore. It's about the
Diba?
question of the time. Do I
Yes.
really want to spend the
O,
time here?
yun. O, yun. O, yun.
Diba?
That's the bigger question, right?
Oo.
Like, do I want to spend my time here?
Mm.
But you have to think about, it's just really, let's say, 2 hours na. Isama mo na yung travel time mo, yung mag-shower ka pa after and all that. It's 2 hours of investing in yourself. Parang, how much time did you invest studying or graduating and adding another achievement
Yes.
dun sa listahan mo ng achievements sa
True.
buhay mo? And we're just talking about 2 hours every day that you're just working on yourself. Diba they say you can't pour from an empty cup?
Ay, iyan mismo sinabi ni Alpha dun sa talk kahapon.
O, see?
O, diba?
Kaya kami, ano kami?
Totoo yan yung
Diba?
sinabi niya. You
Yeah.
cannot give something that you don't have.
Yes. It makes me feel good, actually, that I'm doing this, that I'm working on my health. I know I'm making a positive impact on
Yes.
someone's life. That is cliche. I mean, when
Mm.
you hear that, it sounds very cliche, but at the heart of it, yun talaga yun eh. You can just look at it as, you're just giving instructions, pinapahirapan mo
Oo.
lagi yung mga
Habaan
tao.
ko yung sessions.
Yeah, yung mga ganyan. Pwedeng ganyan lang eh. But no, you actually interact with people after, and yung mga ginawa pala nilang everyday classes help them with their grief.
Yes.
Meron pala silang pinagdadaanan. Meron pala silang, let's say, somebody I know, a loved one passed away, and this has really helped her just get back to, it's never gonna be a normal life again, of course, but just to find,
Getting back in the zone.
yeah,
Diba?
just continuing on with her own life. So for some, it's a bad breakup.
Yes.
Diba? And a
A
bad
failed
breakup.
business.
Yes, exactly. There are so many things and hindi mo yan nalalaman right away. It's so heartwarming when someone comes up to you to say that, ganito ako dati and this is how what you do has helped me. It's amazing. And it's not just physically. For some, it's really emotionally and mentally and even spiritually. It's amazing.
I agree. To quantify lang, weirdly, di ba? Our time in a day is the same 24 hours, di ba? Ang baduy na tayo doon, di ba? Pero we have like 12 hours to put into work, anon. Napansin ko lang sa amin with Alpha is that when we do the workouts, kakainin ko syempre itong sinasabi kong to. Is this?
May recording tayo.
2 hours or an hour, 2 hours, tipong ganon. You tend to finish the other things that you need to do faster.
Yeah.
Or more efficiently. It's just that, yeah, you really need that person to always remind you na, huy, to call you out. And I
Yeah.
think this is where a coach comes in.
Yeah.
Like you. And ito nga, with Vida Yoga, ito yung paborito ko namang natutunan sa'yo na I think a lot of freelancers should learn and even business owners in the future, na your cancellation policy.
Oh, yeah.
Ay, sobrang sikat na sikat. Did you always have that before I explain what a cancellation policy is?
It came with, because you have to understand also, Niel, that part of my life, like what I do with you guys, that came at a time when I did not have the yoga studios,
Yes.
right? But I learned that from having the yoga studios.
Okay.
Because if you don't have that, you're gonna invest time and effort and you're going to lose money in a way rin eh. Kasi isipin mo, pinaghirapan mo kasi pumunta ka sa studio. Ni-reserve yung studio
Nail,
para
no?
sa klase.
Yes.
Tapos biglang, ay sorry, hindi ako makakapunta. So, okay, but nandito na yung teacher. Yung room na na-reserve na, naka-on na yung heaters, naka-on na yung kuryente, lahat handa na. People also have to think about these things. Like, I understand what happened to you, kaya hindi ka makakapunta. But it's not like I didn't exert any effort para
Yes.
ihanda to para sa'yo.
Yes.
So, I think it's just fair having a cancellation policy because wala naman may gusto ng hindi mga magagandang pangyayari.
Yes.
'Di ba? But the fact is, you as a provider, as a service provider, or as a business owner, if you will, pinaghandaan mo to eh.
Yes.
Ni-reserve mo. So, in actuality, you lost money already. Kasi
Yes.
merong pwedeng nag-reserve ng iba, pero hindi mo tinanggap.
Mm-mm.
Kasi may naka-reserve na.
Yes.
So, yun yung kailangan rin maintindihan ng mga kliyente.
Yes.
Hindi libre lahat.
Mm.
And sorry doesn't cut it sometimes because what about my time?
Yes.
'Di ba? What about my effort? What about my electricity or my gas and all that? Yeah, I think people just need to understand na Hindi yun libre. Your
Yes.
time is important. Your time is valuable.
Ano lang ha, context para sa mga ano yung cancellation policy na? Chapche ba tong in-order ko na parang ganito?
Yeah.
It's a very basic ano lang. When we started, which I did not honestly read through it. Okay, I'll be the first one. Nakasulat doon na if you cancel within the 24 hours
Yes.
of our agreed time of working together, you have to pay the full price for
Yes.
our sessions. And then what happened was that we had to cancel
The night before.
the night before.
So like ano na yun, well into half the time that
Yes.
was allotted.
Nonchalantly,
Yeah.
Ginger replied to that
Yeah.
and then reminded us of the cancellation policy. Una, nagulat ako.
Yeah.
Parang, uy, meron palang cancellation policy. Pero we obliged kasi siguro we have exposure to coaching, to training, and then we felt na parang, uy, palo to. It's like a spanking. It's like a disciplining na, oh, see?
Yeah.
May aray. So
Yeah.
next time, you will go there. My question to you, Ginger, is hindi ka ba nag-hesitate to remind people of the cancellation policy, especially if it's your friends?
No, I don't.
Oy!
I don't.
Malaman, bakit?
But actually, I have made it a point to say it. It's one of the first few things I say. Para lahat klaro from the very beginning.
Even in friends.
Yes. And like I said, there are some people who won't like it. Pero at least napag-usapan na from the very beginning. And that's how you determine
Setting expectations na agad.
Yes. With no hard feelings on my end. Hindi lang ikaw yung market ko.
Okay.
You know, if you don't
Gets.
understand my policy and if you don't understand the commitment that it entails on your end and my end to be doing this together, then obviously, hindi ikaw yung market ko. Pero marami akong iba pang market dyan. And you know, from the very beginning, that's a headache na eh.
Were there people who have contested and said, I will not pay it?
No. But there have been people who didn't push through with the classes
After that.
after finding out that there is a cancellation policy, a hefty one.
Implemented talaga.
Yes.
Kasi iba, sabi-sabi lang.
Yeah.
Uy, next time, sige, charge kita ha. Pero this
Yeah.
time, I let it pass.
And part of the reason why I've become so confident with this whole thing is because it's not just you guys. There really are people who will understand this.
Yes.
And a lot of the times, it's also business owners or coaches as well, if you will. They understand the time and energy na nalalaan para sa ganitong klaseng trabaho.
Nakakatuwa, di ba?
Yes. And that's why I can say, okay, you're not my market. Okay lang. Okay na yan. Because if we push through with this, tapos masakit yung loob mo sa cancellation policy ko, tapos biglang mag-cancel ka, magbabutt heads pa tayo.
Yes.
Diba? When in my head, from the very beginning, you knew it. Kaya okay na rin ako dun sa, okay, this is my rate, this is my policy. Are you okay with it? If crickets, then okay, that's fine.
No convincing na.
Yeah, goodbye, move on. You know, like this also a new concept right now, yung I don't chase, I attract. You know that? Have you heard that? Have you heard of that?
I'm trying to attract.
No, I just said it now because it seems so apt dun sa pinag-uusapan
True.
natin. You know, you don't have to. Hindi mo kailangan habul-habulin at paghirapan ng todo-todo kung hindi talaga para sa'yo. So you also need to, I guess, as a freelancer, find out sino ba talaga yung target market mo.
Ito yung tanong ko tuloy dyan. Okay, we don't chase, we attract. Okay, starting out lang.
Yeah.
Last few minutes na lang to.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Friends, diba? And you're starting out. How do you attract? Do you pitch them and say, uy, I'm doing yoga. Would you like free classes with me?
Honestly, with friends, I would rarely do it. I am more likely to post something.
Oo, let the social media be the salesman, no?
Yes, I am more likely to do that than to come up to friends and personally ask them if they would like to avail of the service. Because I feel like your friends already know what you do. And if they wanted your service, then they would come up to you. That's what I think. So it's also part of that whole marketing thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Then if they haven't come up to you knowing what you do, then they're probably not your market rin.
Yes.
It's not lang naman black or white. There's also a lot of gray area. And I just feel like you guys have known each other for years. There's probably some reason why they don't want to avail of your service. Maybe it can be personal. It can be as simple as pagka hindi naging okay yung trabaho nyo, baka mag-away pa kayo.
Yes. Oo.
Diba? And that's a very real thing. It
Yes.
happens every day.
It happens all the time.
It happens all the time. So honestly, I wouldn't recommend so much going up to friends and coming up to friends and asking them if they would like to avail your service. They already know.
They already know.
In fact, I think you should think about it if they come up to you and ask for your service. Kasi somewhere down the line,
may gap doon, ano?
merong mga mabablur dyan eh.
Oo.
So, is that a risk that you're willing to take?
Yeah.
Maraming tao. So, I think you should also think long and hard about that relationship. If it's important to you, maybe dito na lang tayo sa sa wala masyadong friendship involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Social media is such a great tool.
Totoo.
Yeah.
Totoo.
I think everyone should take advantage of that.
Paborito ko sa episode natin na to is showing the transformation, seeing the transformation in other people with the things that we are doing. In your case, it's yoga, it's fitness, to be very specific. And with the fitness, actually, what I always appreciate is that I always learn something new in a way of teaching na I wouldn't see it from other coaches na industry ko. I would say, parang okay din pala na dinadiversify ko yung sarili ko and see paano kayong ginagawa ng iba in a different industry. The cancellation, sobrang love ko yan. Seeing the coach leading by example, gusto ko yan. Ang last question ko ngayon sa'yo, which is always the topic dito sa podcast natin, naniniwala ka pa rin ba or naniniwala ka rin ba na kasalanan sa panahon ngayon manatiling or maging purita?
Yeah.
Oh, walang isip-isip, bakit?
Yes, because we're all capable. We're all capable. I mean, most of us
Sige.
can see, can hear, can smell, can taste, can feel. Most of us can walk.
Yes.
Most of us can. Syempre, there are those who have their physical
May challenges. Yes,
challenges. But nakakakita ka nga ng painter na bulag eh. Nakakakita ka nga ng nagsusulat ng paa. And it sounds very cliche. I feel like I sound like my lolo kasi yun yung mga sinasabi niya sa akin dati. Nag-aral ka, marunong ka magbasa, marunong ka magsalita, marunong ka magsulat. Really, what's your excuse?
Ouch.
Diba? No, sa totoo lang. I mean, sometimes it's pride. You think that the work is not your
standard, no?
Your
level.
Parang that you deserve more. Pero you have to also take a step back and ask, ano na ba yung na-achieve mo? Diba? Maybe you have to start small and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mo.
Yes. This is what I encounter kasi sometimes yung I don't want to do that. I'm worth more than that.
Yes.
But really, what have you done? What have you done for you to say na masyadong mababa yung work na yan para sa'yo? You have to think about that. Kasi if you think hindi para sa'yo yung work na yan just because you're English speaking, just because
I'm from Alabama.
diba, you have a car, you know, you hang out with
SUV.
you're popular, you know, that kind of thing.
Slay girl.
Sorry.
Totoo, no?
Yeah, parang, you know, you also have to ask yourself, sometimes puro popogi lang yung ganyan eh. May car ka, paano yung panggas mo? Diba?
Huwag mo na mag-aircon.
Diba? Or maganda yung suot mo, pero
bad breath ka na sa gutom.
Exactly. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that before you make an assessment kung masyadong demeaning yung work na yan para sa'yo, tanungin mo muna yung sarili mo, ano na ba yung na-achieve mo?
Yes.
Like we were saying earlier, right? Ngayon nga napagkakakitaan na rin yung social media eh.
Yes.
What is your excuse now? Ang dami ng pwedeng work. Hindi lang yung traditional na mag-a-apply ka sa corporate.
Yes.
O kung magaling ka mag-English, edi mag-call center ka. Diba?
And these are just faces.
Yes. Like what I said, I didn't know what I wanted to be. Subok-subok ka muna dyan.
Try out.
Okay lang yun. And you know, I feel like dun sa subok-subok more than anything else, dun mo talaga malalaman eh kung ano yung gusto mo. It's trial and error.
True.
Hindi yan malalaman sa soul searching lang.
Binalik pa ulit eh. Ang dami naman.
Hindi lang sa ganon.
Okay.
So, yun. You just, you know, even Oprah said this. Most people don't know what they want. Oh, yeah, sure. You want to have spending power. You want to have
Millionaire,
all of these
billionaire.
things. Yes. But like, really, what do you want to do with your life? Most people don't know what they want.
Ang basic ng question pero ang lalim ng hugot. No?
Yes. Ano ba talaga yung gusto mo? Ako, 20 years ago, I would not have been able to tell you. Hindi ko rin alam eh. I felt like I was really just floating around na ano ba hindi ko alam yung gusto ko. Everyone else is achieving so much already and I felt like I was being left behind.
Yes. Maraming salamat. Para sa mga taong nakikinig, sa mga bashers natin, the core message dito is trying it out, diba?
Yes.
Try out. And speaking of trying it out, Vida Yoga is open in Alabang, dito sa Commerce Center. Open in BGC, tama?
Correct.
And soon,
Yes.
magkakaroon ba ng bago pa?
Well, for now, those are our two
Okay.
branches. But yes, hopefully we're going to expand when the time is right.
Yes. And don't be like your Lolo Niel na nung nakita lang, uy, ang ganda ng logo, mahal dyan. Try new things, try different things kasi you'll be surprised at what's inside of you pala. You just have to expose yourself to other things.
And if I may add something to that, Neil, that's how I found my path. I just tried out yoga. I felt like I just wanted to be more fit. I felt like I just needed a fitness regimen, but I found a clear path. It gave me so much direction. So it may not be like that for other people, but it's just an example of what you might find if you try something new.
Yes.
Something you're not familiar with. I'm a big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
And one of the things that he would always say is be open to the possibility of the unknown.
Which we all fear. Oh,
Yeah.
diba?
Instead of fearing the unknown, how about opening yourself up to new possibilities?
Kasi baka behind that door,
Yes.
diba, is something different, something
Yeah,
new.
exactly.
Maraming salamat, Madam Ginger.
Walang anuman, Sir Neil.
I hope you enjoyed, mga bashers. Punta kayo dito, Vida Yoga, I highly recommend. Wala po ditong suplado. In fairness in fairness, if you know me, which you should, kasi listener ka ng podcast na to, akong probinsyanong ito, hindi ako na-intimidate.
Yeah.
Na-intimidate ako nung nasa labas, no? Pero nung pagpasok ko, ay masaya pala.
Yes.
Try nyo din.
Yes.
Yun lang. Mga bashers, maraming salamat. And Ginger, again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you also for having me.
Thank you.